Andy.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hello there,
Hello,
Andy.
Chaps.
How you doing?
Guys. Really good, thank you. You guys?
Yeah,
not
very
bad,
good.
Not bad.
Good evening to all those that are watching. Thanks for joining this evening on a special live stream, and hopefully you can see who's with us this evening. So we've got Andy from iREEF. We've got Mr. Hughes, because obviously he is hosting, and Stephan's joined us as well from the Yorkshire Reefer. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Hopefully we're going to talk about iREEF, talk about love to reef. Before we do that, I'm going to chat, Paul, you some other stuff we're going to talk about tonight as well, aren't there?
Yeah, basically, I think it'd be really good tonight to get an understanding about the iREEF, and also an understanding about the Yorkshire Reefer and your sort of backstories and where you become, and also a little bit about some of the things probably people don't. I mean, some people are going to know about this, but about your musical background, even, which I find very interesting. I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of research already, and so I'm told the word on the street is that Stephan, the Yorkshire Reefer's a much better guitarist than you, Andy. Is that right?
No.
No. He told me to say that. I promise. He told me to say that. All right. Yeah.
100% I have. We'll leave that.
Yeah. But, no, I mean, I thought it'd be really interesting actually to get a little bit of background. So, for example,
I forgot the guitars. Sorry.
Oh, you didn't do that. Did you see the special guitar solo that March from Fragbox did about me?
Guitar? No. Oh,
he did a special song. Some of them in the chat will remember that. But basically, Paul Hughes is a. That was it, basically.
See you.
Yeah, a see you next Tuesday sort of a chap. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a little chat about your previous background. So, Andy, so obviously before being a store owner and what have you, where did you get into hobby? Where does the hobby start for you?
We started off with trops initially, and I've been with my wife now probably 13, 14 years, and we got multiple tank syndrome with trops. We had shrimp tanks everywhere. I mean, we literally had one point of 14 tanks in the house.
Wow.
We had everything from cichlids down to community tank and everything like that. We're breeding cherry shrimp at one point. And then I remember walking, believe it or not, I walked into somewhere, I can't remember where it was. It was a garden centre in Otley, which is up near Leeds. It's gone now, this particular place. But I remember seeing a red blood shrimp in a coral tray. And I was like, what is that?
Yeah, amazing.
More into it, and then we started in marine, which was like in newbies. You go through your stages and everything like that, and you find your shops that are good, you find your shops that are maybe not so good, and you go around and get the best advice. And you know, I think then what do we do? I was in the car trade, as you're well aware. Bored of it. It was so stressful. Target driven constantly, caustic. And I think it was January 2020. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a little shop. And Katie said, yeah, do it. Yeah, if you want to do it, do it. So we opened Little Shoebox Radical in Bradford, which was, I mean, literally, it was the size of this little room that we're in now. It's mad. It had 3 4-foot tanks for fish. Was it one 7-foot coral table, and the ceiling used to drip. And then lockdown happened 2 days after we'd opened.
God,
ouch!
And yeah, it was mad, really. But it was just you know as well as I do. When lockdown happened for shops, it suddenly ended up being very busy, especially for some of us. And I think essentials and things like that. You grow and you grow and you grow. We moved into Leeds, did the Leeds thing. Obviously, that's now gone, but it was exciting, and you know, you learn so much along the way as you're going within the hobby and meet so many great people. And talk to literally thousands of customers, and everyone's got a unique story of where they started reefing and where they're at with the journey now. And that's what I like. Me and Katie, pretty much a team. We bounce off each other.
I did actually say to Stephan we were testing equipment earlier. About that, it's a little bit. So we've been a little bit naughty here, really, because behind us all, we have very, very good women backing us, and we really ought to have had Katie in here and Roberta here tonight, because obviously, and likewise, Paul's Jill's very supportive, even though she's not really bothered about a fish tank. She obviously supports all his love to reef stuff, and he's got a busy job and loads going on, and I certainly can't do without my misses as well. So it's a little bit unfair tonight. We probably should have included the women in it. Maybe we'll do that again at some stage.
She's just watched me saying take your chewing gum out. So apologies, I forgot I was chewing. She's just watched something going, take your chewing gum out.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
definitely with Katie. She'd love to be here. I mean, she's watching at home, but I will say definitely having her working with me at the shop really, really takes it to a next level for us as a team. And that's why the owners of iREEF, who were Alex and Alistair, I mean, she was only temporary for a week, and they went, you're in.
Keep her. Yeah. It's the same for me, Andy. It's a very similar story for me. I was in a 2-bedroom council flat or ex-council flat with around about 14 tanks, the same as you. And I'd already been doing a bit of part-time guppy boy work on a Saturday and on a Sunday. And the next minute you find yourself in this world of now worrying about every penny at first, like you do, and as you build your store and what have you. But it's pretty much a similar story. I started, as you know, you've seen the back of house of AAC, and you can see where it all began. And Paul was a customer of the first original AAC, as is a few people in the chat tonight. I can see, like Ian and what have you. So it's a very similar story. I think sometimes it can be seen if you're a hobbyist that, you know, store owners, we were all hobbyists. Most of us were all. I don't know too many store owners that didn't sort of have a similar sort of story, really. We all started really with an aquarium in the home, and it just grew from there, didn't it? Really,
I think you've got to have that passion, because you can't switch off, can you? It's not like selling clothes or something like that. You can shut the shop and you can go away and you come back the next day. Yeah, you haven't got to care anything. But when you've got animals and stuff like that, I see what goes on a little bit behind the scenes and what you do. And when you close on Christmas Day, you're still in here looking after the pets, as any kind of pet store does, I suppose.
Well, it never ends. It certainly never ends, does it, Andy? I think that when you're an elephant owner, I mean, it never really ends at all, does it?
Don't, and you know, I mean, one of the things is I'm now the manager of this store. When I own Radical, obviously there's a massive amount of stress, and you're aware of that with me. I mean, you get that now. And the difference, I think, now is having the management side and having the guys that own it. That stress has come off my head, certainly. But now, animals, I mean, just going on to animals are incredibly important to me, whether it's coral, fish, anemones, starfish, whatever it might be. You know, they've all, in my head, got feelings, you know, and they're all sending things to me. They're not just, I'd hate to say it, but, you know, I wouldn't want to be a fish flipper, if you like.
Yeah.
They're all, I want to know where they're going. I want to know that the customer that's taking them is going to look after them right. I want to know that they've been advised properly. I want to know that I'm not putting a Regal tang into a 52-litre tank, for instance. Yeah. You know, that kind of stuff. And that's where we operate. We have turned down sales, as you have, you know, when people maybe haven't done the research, done stuff like that. So it's important. That's important to me as the shop manager to make sure we're doing things right.
Well, I think, Andy, in these sort of more difficult times for everyone, financially and what have you, I think what we've seen actually is that there are the core stores are still there, you know, and those stores that perhaps weren't doing a good job with marines and what have you, they've gone, you know. So I think in some respects, as much as a sort of recession or a downturn generally, I know you're doing very well up there. But you can imagine a lot of the trades, particularly on tropical freshwater, and even my own previous store that was like, it was famous as you like. I mean, it was around for around about 30, 40 years, but that's now gone. I think once you lose your buzz or excitement for it, then there's no hope for you as a store. You've got to, and I think what's probably a good thing that's happened, tell me if I'm right, Andy, I might sound a little bit nosy, but when you run a business, you're not just caring for the animals and interacting with the customers and feeding the fish. You know, you're going home and then worrying about the VAT. You're going home and doing with all the health and safety. I mean, I spent 4 hours on the phone the other day about shop insurance and that sort of stuff. Yeah. And now, of course, you've got all of the how can I put it, energy, because you've got obviously business owners that have been have done very well in their other businesses that are looking out for iREEF. Now that gives you the chance to have more excitement and enthusiasm about the store. Probably, you know, I have bad days because I'm worrying about the shop insurance. I'm doing this or I'm doing it. But now you've got the whole focus is on the store, isn't it?
I don't feel like I work. And my best way to put that is I said it to Kate last night. I was doing the internet stuff, putting corals on last night. So probably about 12 o'clock. Yeah. And I wasn't bothered about doing that. I was sat there, the TV was on, Kate was watching the television, I was putting corals on. And I said, I can't wait to get back in tomorrow. You know, when you're feeling excited about going to work, I know that sounds, some people will go, what? Really? But genuinely, I like coming to work. And I've got two great bosses that respect what we do, and they want it to be the best it can be. And they're not afraid of investment, Andy. They ploughed an awful lot of money into iREEF, haven't they? Those two were my best customers at Radical, without doubt.
Yeah.
They knew how ill I got at Radical, which I did. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't realise I had a heart problem because of Radical. Stress running it. And doing all the online. I mean, when you have such a big online presence, it's message, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. And it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, even Christmas Day, like we're just talking about.
It's 24/7, isn't it? Because the internet doesn't close.
It doesn't stop. And then you're thinking about electricity bills, your VAT bills, where's the next stock coming from? How am I paying this next bill? How am I paying my member of staff this week? You've had a quiet week. How am I paying my mortgage? All the electricity bills just gone up double. You know, all this stuff that you're dealing with, Paul, your insurance and everything else, even PAYE for your staff. And when that eventually drops off your shoulders, and I can't tell you, with customers coming here,
you're making me jealous.
I'm sorry, mate, but when Katie said, I'm a different person when I came out of Radical.
Wow.
Well, I think you are, Andy. And all being honest, I think you've. Think times have changed, and I think you can tell. You know, it's such a competitive industry at the best of times, and if you throw that into the mix as well, you know, it is an incredibly stressed. Because one, we're stressed out because we're trying to keep all these animals alive in peak and tip-top condition, waiting for homes. Yeah. And then the next bit, like I said, you've got all that business stuff on top as well. Then you do have, obviously, the financial worries as well of making it work. And there's so many uncertainties, particularly at the moment with extra costs and things. But I think what we're going to do here, because we're going to come back to some of this chat with Stephan as well in a moment. I think Paul would probably like to do the chat and introduce people.
I'm going to go through the chat. But just before I do, my son works... But, well, he's not surprised there, but he sees it as his hobby. He doesn't feel like he's going to work, and he's got a constant smile on his face, and he has to work sometimes all hours, weekends and stuff like that. He gets days off during the week, and he absolutely loves it. And when he's out with mates or talking to us and other people, he feels embarrassed talking about it because he knows the majority of people work because they work, not because he absolutely loves what he does. And it's a different attitude as well, how he feels all the time.
He's a cameraman, isn't he, Paul?
Yeah, so he works for Tottenham Hotspur, which is funny because we're all West Ham fans, so it's his job for caring the community, kind of thing. But he does a lot of the videography, so he'll travel to stuff and things like that. So he'll come home from games and then spends 3 hours editing into the night and stuff like that because it has to be uploaded. But he absolutely loves it.
Yeah, I think that is the ultimate way to be. I mean, that's something I've noticed now. In the car trade, I'm quite happy to say that I used to earn probably 4 times what I do now.
Yeah.
But to have to, I don't know what it was doing to my health. It was a Red Bull every day, or 3.
Yeah.
Eating all the time, sugar and this, that, and the other. And one of the things I'd say is once you get to a point where you're happy, and you're loving what you're doing, the money doesn't become a problem. You work out.
It's not a driver, is it? Yeah.
I don't think Yeah,
one
go on.
thing I've always lived by is if it's the saying. I can't remember who said it to me, but if you're not doing what you love, you're wasting your time. Because we're not here for a long time. And honestly, I used to say that. I used to manage a service with 50 odd staff, and I used to say that to them when people were getting stressed. You love your job, because if you don't, you're in the wrong job. And it's
well, we're going to come back to that, Steph, because I really want to touch on it. I know when we were talking earlier on, I think I'd love to let if you don't mind, I'd love to let the public know a little bit more about your background, because I find it incredibly interesting. And as you know, I share some of I understand about your previous job probably better than a lot of people due to a family member and stuff. So we'll come back to that in a moment. And I think, Paulie, if you want to fire away on
I will do. So first of all, thank you. Got 68 people watching. Really appreciate you giving up your Thursday night. And I know many other channels you could watch on YouTube, let alone everything that's on telly. So thank you, because you're spending your time with us rather than other people.
a few American friends are in as well that have got up early to watch this. So thanks, guys.
Oh, lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So just going to say a few hellos to some people that we know and other people that might be new to the channel. So first was Ian, well known to us. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Rodders.
Good to see
Hope
you.
you're doing all right, Rodders.
Yeah, good evening to
He's
you.
up with his NIOS stuff. Oh my gosh, that was absolutely insane.
Hello, Dan's
Dan.
Reef.
Good evening to you. Johnny boy.
We have royalty in.
So
Right.
John, what's he saying? He's got to go.
So a family Zoom at 8, but we'll rejoin at 8:40.
8:40.
Normally, John can't join us because he's looking after his grandchildren on Thursday. He always gives Paul a lot of shit about that because we do it on Thursdays. And this is but John, I'm sure, have you met John before, Andy?
I don't think I have. I've heard of John, and everybody says he's sound.
Oh, he's a lovely guy. He's got the best shirts you've ever seen. And without a doubt. So, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right, let's go down. Good evening to you, Techers. Hope you're well.
Reef.
Thank you for buying a ticket. And all those people that have bought tickets for Love to Reef, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And there's quite a few people in the chat that are going. So thanking you. Right, just going to move down. I don't know if Moggs is in the chat or not. He's
Hello, pal.
I think he might have gone, but he's working till 8:20.
But he'll see.
Hopefully he'll be back a little bit later on. So it'd be good to see him back later. Silent Reefer, good evening
Silent
to
Reefer.
you. Love that logo. It's a really nice avatar.
That's a lovely avatar,
Isn't it? Really nice.
Gaz's Reef.
Gaz's Reef. Hi, Gaz. I've seen a comment saying, where's your ticket for Love to Reef? I send them out 14 days before the event. The reason why I do that is, one, I get to send them all in one batch, so it makes my life easier. And secondly, a lot of email accounts, like say Hotmail, they only go back 28 days. And so when you arrive and we ask you for your ticket, if it was more than 28 days ago, there's a good chance you won't find it. And then Jill won't let you in. Whereas in the last 14 days, it'll be on your phone. You can just show your ticket. So that's the reason behind it. UKM 120, good evening to you.
Hi, Matt.
Reefer.
Hi, Matt. Roxanne. How you doing?
Watching your tank review, I suppose it is, with Ron the other day. It's really good. Tank's looking good. DD Reef Pro. I
was tuned in last night to the East Coast Reefer, watching Matt doing the thing with Senai, which is good.
Yeah. So good to see you, Matt. Tank's looking good.
Yeah.
Cornish Reefer. Thank you. He's bought a ticket coming all the way from Cornwall for Love to Reef. So thank you. It'd be great to meet you at long last. So thank you.
So there's no excuse. Let's just stop there for a second. If the Cornish Reefer is going to make it to Love to Reef, I mean, Ron should be coming down from Scotland then as well.
Ron could fly into Stansted.
Ron could fly into Stansted.
20 minutes in a cab.
20 minutes from Stansted Airport, Ron, if you're listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can cycle.
There's Rob. There's Rob up there.
Oh, yeah, it's Rob. Hi, Rob. How you doing?
Hi, Rob. How you doing?
So I took Jill to go and see his tank last week and get some RO. And Jill hates SPS. She thinks they're a complete waste of time. And she likes some of the SPS that Rob's got.
No,
she actually said, I like those SPS. And she hates passion. They don't move. They're a waste of time.
Jill liked it because it was a big one, Paul. Well, and she don't like little ones.
It was a 13-foot tank. Yes, I'll give you that. Yeah.
Oh, look, Roxanne's in there as well.
Yeah, come down. Hi, Roxanne.
Hi, Roxanne. Roxanne's Reef. Look, she's named it. I named it, Rox. Look at her little avatar. Fantastic. Good. Yeah. Where else we
coming
got?
Down. We've got Reef and Teeth.
Jamie.
How are you, Jamie?
Looking forward to this all day on a hellish job in London.
Oh, wow.
All right. John is still there.
And then we got Dan.
Krusty.
I love Dan's avatar there.
Yeah, Krusty.
I saw that on Instagram the other day.
Yeah, that's shocking, actually, Dan. Looks like or a clownfish. Yeah.
Mind you, clownfish can be like that.
Yeah, they
can't
can. They certainly bite you. I think he's got it in one there, haven't they? Yeah, it's a Clarky clownfish, Dan, I reckon. Yeah. There's Steve. Yeah.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve. I'm here this weekend, but next weekend, Steve, I'm going to be away because I'm going to be travelling up to Andy's store to weREEF. But I did hear the rumour that you might be 3D printing my AFC cannon thing by this weekend. So you need to send a message if you're coming to AAC, because I'm still waiting for my pump because I let Rob have my pump. But hopefully we're going to get the AFC cannon a biz. You know what I mean?
I've seen that. Did Rob post?
Yeah,
I think it was on Instagram to show.
Well, I lent Rob my one.
Yeah.
And he loved it, so he kept it. So I've got another.
I watched. I think it was Steve's Stratton review the other day. It was good episode that.
Yes.
So,
good. Yeah. It was. It was on also last night. East Coast Reefer with Matt from Senai as well, talking about the new Parwise, which was quite good. The Parwise Pro. It was quite a good stream last night. Norfolk Reefer Matt was on it as well. So yeah, it was a good stream. Very good.
So. If people don't know, haven't seen the post, what's the pump you're talking about?
The pump I'm talking about, everyone, is the titanium. It's like a Ferrari, basically. It's the Ferrari of the pump well. It's only this big, and it literally moves thousands and thousands properly of
liters. In Rob's tank.
But it only burns. So to create a full wave in 1,000 litres only worked out at 20 watts. That's how ridiculous they are. So although they're a huge amount of money to buy, I think they're 3,000 odd plus, £3,000, but you will save that in electric in about 5-10 years, I would have thought.
But also it's 1%. So basically you can't.
So I realised you was digging a hole then, Paul. I was like,
but you save a lot of electricity if you don't plug it in.
Yeah, and if you don't buy it, you save a fortune.
If you don't buy it, you can go to Maldives.
How many pumps would you have to have in that kind of tank if you didn't?
So the reason why I bought it is that it was a really...
A toy.
No, I didn't just buy it. Ange said it was because I bought it because it was a toy. No, there was a real reason. And Andy, you'll know this. If you've got a massive coral table, you start off with X amount of pumps and you think you've got it covered. Then you fill it up like an idiot with loads of coral. Yeah, that drags on the flow. Then you add more pumps, and then you end up with 15 more wires and 15 more plugs. Yeah. So this AFC cannon is unreal, Andy. I can't tell you. If it does turn up before next weekend, I'll bring it up and we'll see if we can shoot one of your coral tables into next door. Yeah, they're phenomenal.
You can. And what have we just done? So what have we got on there? 4L2. So we run closed loop on this one here. It's running 4L2s. And I think we've just put 4 gyres on it as well.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You would have thought that you would ever, especially in a store. It's less because obviously you're probably like me, or Alex and Alistair are as well. You can't stop buying corals. I think hobbyists sometimes don't realise we've got the addiction too. It's just as I saw your post today with your 19 boxes. Someone went mental. I don't know who that was, Andy. Hopefully it isn't you that's controlling the budget. Right, but someone definitely, and I'm the world's worst. I blame it on Barry. When I get told off by Ange and she's going, how much? I go, Barry ordered that. Yeah, you always have to play it off of each other. Or you only tell them, Alex and Alistair, what the bill is, but don't tell them the VAT. It sounds better.
Yeah. Today's was me and Alex, so I was covered. That's fine.
All right, that's all right. As long as Alex was involved for the signing it off bit, Yeah.
So I won't go down.
There's a couple of boxes on there where it's like, why have we ordered that? And it was like cleaner shrimp and stuff like that. And it's like, what? I'm like, it's starfish as well on it.
Yeah.
Oh God,
They're popular.
Yeah.
So a few comments on there. I won't go down to the bottom as I lose where I am. The prototype will finish tonight. If all goes well, then I might have it ready for the weekend. So that was some Steve.
Thing is, I'll have me prototype 3D printed cannon holder, and I've got no pump to put it in. I've got no pump to put in it, but never mind.
And so, Rob's saying, well, he made me pay for it. Looks like a jet engine.
Has Rob paid for my one?
Well, no, he could do, couldn't he? To say thank you. It looks like a jet engine. Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I suppose they get the economies of scale. Because I always think, could they make something smaller? but probably it's
No, it
quite
doesn't.
difficult to do that.
I desperately tried to convince Alex from Abyss, why don't you start making miniature versions of the
Brilliant,
cannon?
like a 6 foot or
But
something.
it costs us almost, it's not so much so the materials, you're talking about titanium and carbon fiber.
Yeah.
Right. So there is some expense.
Yeah.
But the material expense is nothing compared to the same expense of actually putting the product together. Yeah, it's the same controller, it's the same brain, it's the same cable, it's the same, and just the cable on these are busy. It's probably about £100 a meter, the cable.
Wow.
So you know, it's yeah, I'd love to see a smaller version, but Alex unfortunately said no. Does he German said no? Yeah.
They do look nice.
Yeah, they do look nice. Yeah.
Right. Gandalf the Grey. Good evening to you.
I've never seen that avatar before. Nice to
that name or avatar.
Yeah.
Right. Where we go? It's just going down. There's a few more here. Agatha. I won't try to pronounce the surname, so apologies.
Berezovsky. I can't say it.
That's why I didn't say it.
I'm really sorry, Agatha.
So Agatha, thank you and welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Ah, there he is. Corey.
Look at that. Look, Scully, I'm jealous.
Yeah, we've got the Germans in the house. That's you know, that is Steph. That's Corey. No, Corey Nyos. Yeah. Hiya, Corey.
Hiya.
He helps me with a lot of coral ID. If you ever really stuck, I've got some really stuck. That's the man to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, him or Chris Meckley, but yeah, generally, and then if you can't get an answer from Corey or an answer from Chris, then I have to consult the holy one, Mr. Sprung.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sometimes.
So you got a pecking order on who you can get in touch with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, good evening. Hiya, Johnny. So Johnny can't show at Love to Reef because he's booked a holiday.
Yes, I know.
So he's not going to be with us.
No, but I've said to Johnny that if there's a bit of room, we might be able to include some of his 3D printed stuff down. I know, Andy, you did, or do you still do Johnny stuff or not? Are you not doing Johnny stuff?
I spoke to him earlier today because we obviously, when we do expansion, we've got more shelf space. So we're going to have to look at putting some more in potentially. I just need to just get my head around what's happening with 3D printed stuff at the moment and go from there.
Yeah. So, yeah. But I say, hopefully we'll have a little bit of Johnny's presence, even though he's away for the event. Yeah, because he's supported every one of your events.
He was in the very first one. There was only, what was it, 3 or 4? So it was you, Johnny, Ches, Jez was there from Exodus.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. And then Laura, who was a paying customer, ended up speaking.
Yeah, I know.
She ended up being in the Q&A.
Yeah.
And that's where I discovered about manganese and goniopora.
That's right. Yeah.
But there we go. Right, let's move on. Chris, good evening to you.
Chris. He looks like he's got one of my chalice corals there. That looks like what we call what did we call that one's got a funny name?
It's a hybrid,
no, it's the melon. It's the alien melons. Is that an alien melons avatar? That's where I tried grafting a watermelon and an alien.
It certainly looks like
it's Chris. I know who that is. That's 350 Chris.
Yeah, it's 350.
Oh, yeah, Chris, that's my. Shall I tell you the truth?
Go on then.
I
know that. Yeah,
it wasn't my idea.
But you stole it.
I stole his idea.
So did he grow it out first?
He grew it out. I nicked it off him, and then I claimed it as my own. Yeah, and that really pissed him off, I think. But there you are.
I'm not surprised. To be fair, it's now called an AAC whatever melon.
AAC alien melons, we call that. Yeah.
As opposed to 350s melons.
Yeah, 350 melons.
Yeah. That's what it should be, shouldn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
Good evening to you, Tanner. Thank you for joining the Spiritual Reefer.
Hi, Harry. Hi, Harry.
Good evening to you. Tommy, good evening. And I think I saw later on Tommy's coming down to Love to Reef. So thank you. George's Reef Reach Digital Marketing.
I don't think
good evening to you.
Oh. I don't
know. I've heard that name, but I don't know where. I don't think I've seen you on a live stream before. It might be on Instagram.
Right. Well, I'll look you up on YouTube. You obviously got a YouTube account because I can see the little thing in the what's it? Yeah.
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 So welcome. Ron, good evening to you, Ron.
Hello, Ron.
How
you doing? Love the nose, Ron. Keep up the nose.
Yes, I've heard it's really good.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go. Scott, we saw you earlier on, but good evening to you, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Is that Scott's avatar?
Scott's avatar. Yeah.
Yes. That is typical. That is typical Scott, isn't it? That's all I'll say.
There we go.
Right, what's that say there? Did they forget? Was Corey? Kind of hard to hear him. Have you two got your mics all good?
Yeah, they're all on.
Okay.
I saw that comment, but I didn't hear anyone else say it, so I assume we was okay.
Corey, let us know, pal, in the chat if you're still struggling to hear him. I can hear him well on this side. If anyone's got any issues with the stream, please put a comment up because it does help us, and we can see if we can try and solve it. Okie doke.
Yeah, like button, please, if you can. That would really help. Thank you.
Yeah, if you could do the like.
Good reminder. Right, just coming down.
Davey. Hi, Davey. He was down a couple of weeks ago. He popped down with Tom and the boys the other week.
Yeah.
Blimey, there's a lot of you. There's a lot in the chat tonight.
Yeah, there is. Thank you. Right.
Yeah. Wakefield Reef.
Hi, Tim. See you.
Is he local to you, Andy?
Yeah. Tim's Wakefield Reef, as he says there.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know where that is. Look, Andy. Let's get one thing straight.
North of Watford.
I'm in the south. You're in the north. I think that everyone who's in the north, apart from Ron, who's in Scotlandshire, right? Yeah, I think everyone there's like a line, and I don't know anything above. I think it's Cambridge. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
An hour away. There we go.
That's a little bit better, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Ange.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Oh, look. Yeah, there she is. The old bag.
You say that until you get home.
I'll wait until I get home. There'll be like pins in my eyes tomorrow morning.
Hi, Liam. I saw the picture of him outside here. He'd been somewhere because he was all suited and booted. He was looking far too posh.
I missed him.
Here.
He popped in the other day, but isn't he the gentleman that turned up who had to take a bucket of salt home on the back of the motorbike?
Yeah. He won a bucket of Nios, weren't it? He put it on the back of the bike.
Kawasaki, the 636.
Yes.
Kawasaki.
Now you're quiet, Steph. Now you're a bit quiet.
I've just turned the receiver up.
No, that's it. Yeah.
I'm just. How can you hear Andy?
Hello.
Go on, Andy. Hello. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
There's Ben. Hello, Benji. How you doing,
Hi,
pal? Ben's got a new tank being set up at the moment. I think I saw on Instagram. He's had great tanks in the past. I'll never forget Ben because I've rarely ever see him at AAC because he's down in Wales. But what he does is he plants Ian in my shop and then begs Ian to make him go in the back room to see what he can steal out the back room.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. There's Pete. There you go.
Pete Newson. Hi,
Pete. Tank's looking marvellous.
He's got a cracking tank.
Yeah,
he really has. He's a really good
spent
reefer.
2 years moaning about how crap his tank was to me, and now he's now look at his tank now.
He's top. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Go, Joe.
Hiya, Joe. Long time no see.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah. Joe and Paul came to my house this morning to talk about tanks.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah.
And Jill was happy, so that's all I can say.
It's a little bit better.
That's it. That's lots
Sorry,
better.
guys. I'm just getting this sorted.
That's right. We'll carry on. Hi, Peter.
Peter.
Hey, Pete, you're right, pal.
That looks like a floating aquascape.
Yeah, I think I've seen this tank before on Instagram a few times. It's a fantastic looking tank he's got, actually.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Nicely grown out as well. Look at it. That's how I like to see a tank. Like, just leave it alone. Stop fragging frags, everyone. Let it do that. That's what it needs to look like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
There you go. Chuckle to rarely fish.
I will see him higher.
Higher. Right. We're not at the bottom, actually. We've got loads to go.
Oh, my God.
Some brilliant. Loads of people talking about one another. That's fine. Ben, are you a hammer? Excellent.
Oh, yeah. West Ham. Yeah.
Norfolk Reefer as well. I didn't realise you was, Matt.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going down. Noodle Reefer.
Hi, Noodle Reefer.
Hiya. Nice avatar like that.
Yeah, successful. That one.
Oh,
yeah.
Successful Reefer.
Oh, it's Savaloy. I like that. He must be a southerner with that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can't spell Savaloy either.
I can't make love to Reef, but I would like to make a donation to the Mind Charity. Is there a link? I'll look you up on Instagram. So there is a GoFundMe page because all the money we raise, I always put it through there for a couple of reasons. One, it's transparent. And secondly, if I can put it on there, we can get tax. Is it tax aid?
Yeah, tax. Yeah, tax relief. Off
Tax relief on it. So that's why I put it all through there. Other than the amount I get from my employer, who pays it direct, everyone can see how much you raised, and also you get the tax relief, which is brilliant because you get 22% or whatever is on top. So that adds to the. I never include that in the amount of money we raise.
No, we should.
So we've done £8,000 so far through that. Yeah. So it would be 20% on top of that. So that would make it what?
Oh, that's what I said last time. I think you've raised about 10 grand.
Not far off, yeah. And that's without the what we did.
That's without Coral Freaks Reefing Audience. So we must be up to about what, 13, 14,000, something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll be in touch.
Yeah.
George, thank you very much for that.
What's he say there? Bernadette's fault. Go on. What's going on? It's Bernadette's fault if we're having a 2-night away for the first time. If my name was Tom, I would take her to love. Come on, Ron. So bring her to sunny Essex. She's not seen any sun in Scotland, obviously. Bring her down. It'll be a great day. It'll be, I think you should treat her to a fish show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't think
some lovely restaurants in the evening.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ron, that's not a good enough excuse, mate. No. I think you need to get down. Get her on the plane. Tell her you're taking her to Europe, which is really Stansted Airport. And then, we all sound like this down here. So she still feel like she's in a foreign land. All right.
Or you could come down to the show, then we can take you back to Stansted and then you can fly off somewhere else.
Absolutely. Oh, that's even better. So
it's a day. You say it's a stay over.
Yeah, stay over at Green Man, Old Arlo, and then get on the plane at Heathrow, and you can take her off to Thailand or something.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. Right, let's go through. Mark Parrott. Hiya, Mark. Right, we're going down.
Oh, God. I don't think it's ever been. Yeah.
Neil?
Adenlin. I've seen this gentleman on Instagram. He's got a fabulous tank. Yeah. He's a real collector, I think. I've seen it. I think he's been to my
customer.
I think he's been to my store once, I think, as well. But he's got a great tank. I know that. Oh, look in the chat there. Look at that. Oh, look, so I'm not in trouble anymore then. All right, then that's all right then. Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, what's that?
What one are we looking at?
Joe, he's going, he's not got a cat. What on earth's that?
I think that's relating to up here. Paul, there's a bit of an in-joke going there.
I get you. No, well, there's no cannon anymore. There's no cannon. We're looking at more of a pea shooter these days. Yeah. Right.
Dear. Yeah. Right, we're going.
Are we there now?
No, just seeing if there's any. Alex Jones. Hiya, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Thanks for joining.
Hi, Alex. The boss.
Logan's Reef.
Logan's Reef.
Oh, yeah, of course, Alex. Go back to Alex a minute. Hold on. Right, Alex.
Is he the boss man?
He's the boss man.
Yeah.
Come on, Andy. Salute the governor. That's it.
Where's the drone, Alex?
And then Alistair as well. Alistair.
Yes, Alistair. Yeah.
With Alistair, yeah.
Right. So we've got Logan's Reef.
Alistair.
Yeah.
Right. We've got Ben. We come to. Right. I don't think we come to Alistair yet, unless I've missed. I don't think I have.
Right.
Ben's called
Logan's Reef.
Logan's Reef. Oh, I get you. All right.
Right. Logan's Reef is Alistair.
All right.
Yeah. Right. Again. Do it again. Sorry.
Governors are in the house.
Call and attention. Like
That's
the.
it.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, look who's here. Look who's here. Oh, there he is. Get Fish Palace off. Where's Flangepus?
Love you too, Drippy.
Yeah. I was round at Paul's house today and Jill was asking where you was, Drippy.
Dear. Right. Jay boy, how are you?
Oh, Jay, how you doing? Hope you're all right, Jay.
Jay, you know how to get a ticket, but you're not getting it cheaper.
True. Look at that.
So bloody tight.
Look at him.
He always moans.
Jay, it's for mind. It's for charity, Jay. We can't do it any cheaper.
Whether it's 12, 17 or 20 quid, I give away for free and he'll say, why ain't I paying him? Good to see you, Jay.
Yes.
Reese. Hiya, Reese.
Hi, Reese.
I'm not going to read that one out, Jam.
I'm not quite sure what that really meant, but that's quite amusing, but never mind.
Hi,
Dill. Right, son.
Well.
Thanks for joining, son.
Right, I'm just going down.
Go.
My lot. Oh, look at that. What fish is that?
Roberta, let me know.
Yeah, we can. What
Right.
fish is that, Paul?
I
Putting you on
think
the
it's a
spot?
made up. I
you
think
think it's an AI?
AI fish. But if there was a fish like that, I'll definitely have it without
It's
doubt.
lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. That's
Right.
it.
Well, is Sam Nash? Hi, Sam.
Newbie reefers.
Starting
Newbie
in December,
reefers.
now got 3 tanks and just waiting for our new 200 litre DD. So is that the Reef Pro?
Ah, this is a gentleman that I didn't meet, unfortunately, that were in at the weekend, who've obviously got the bug, as she states
What,
there.
December and you got 3 tanks?
They've
Wow.
already got 3 tanks.
I know.
They came in and saw us at the weekend, which was amazing. Yeah. So, but judging by the amount of tanks they got, I dare say that they're future store owners in 20 years from now. So, yeah.
So 200, do you think that's the 600 or the 900?
Yeah, it's the 600.
It's the 600.
It's the,
That's
it's
about
the, it's the cube.
yeah, so it's the equivalent of the 170, roughly in terms of size, or the 200, isn't it?
Yeah, and sorry I haven't met
lovely
you
tank.
yet, but I know Barry and the team are looking after you well.
Cool. And if you're obviously you're new, why don't you drop into Love to Reef? Because there's quite a mix of people, whether it be new people, existing, quite experienced, and yeah, you can buy some tickets from here or from AAC's website or direct from me. So if you want to look it up, you might enjoy a good day. Oh, Cyrus, is that?
Hello, Cyrus. Cyrus who works for us. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool. And then Jam's saying, pretty cool skate behind the 2 gents. Love it.
That's to you, Andy.
Must be.
Oh, don't tell Scott that.
Was that a Euphilia dominated system? That one? What tank's that, Andy?
Yeah, it's mixed. So we've got Euphilia all the way around. There's like a ring there. You can't see it on the without obviously perspective. And then we've got some SPS up here, but you can't see it because of Steph's head. There we go. But there's some PC Rainbow and some Taut on there, and there's a lot of Monties and things like that in there as well. You'll see it on the 5th.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Oh, Laura's joining in. Look.
Oh, look at this. Look, Paul, how many Strattons do I want?
Don't you worry, Joe. I'm cooking him. I'm
gonna be burnt out.
Yeah.
I looked up a Stratton. I don't know what size
Paul,
it was. It was
Paul,
50.
just look at it this way. I'm helping you.
I know you are.
Because I've noticed you're walking slightly like this these days, where your wallet is so fucking heavy on one side.
What,
so,
with the extension?
so I'm going to help you and level you out a bit, all right?
My wallet will be empty before I get a tank. You've seen how much work I'm having done.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Look.
Oh,
Laura.
Laura.
Hello,
Hi, Laura.
Laura.
I was just
How you
talking
doing?
about you a bit. The first Love to Reef, you was a paying customer, and we made you get on stage and ask us some questions.
Yeah, and Laura will be showcasing
will.
along with Andy at Love to Reef.
Yeah, so we've got Laura, we've got Andy, and also we've got Dan from Collective Corals as well.
Dan's in the chat somewhere. Dan
he?
Collective Corals.
Oh,
yeah,
is
we
he? Did I
missed
miss
him.
him?
There's been so many people in the
Did I
chat.
miss
If
Dan?
we have
Sorry,
missed
Dan.
you, if we've missed you, don't worry. Yeah, I'm reading them as they go. But you know, I think we're going to do 2 hours of people in the chat tonight, which is the first time ever, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
Deborah's away on holiday. That's a shame.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's quite funny. Euphilia around a ring. That's a ring sting if ever I've heard one.
Oh, me. Right, we have got to the end of the chat, and we've been going for nearly 45 minutes.
Wow, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It's
81.
Really...
Wow, thank you all.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Brilliant.
81 in the chat, which is absolutely amazing. Right, so we'll press on because there's actually quite a bit to cover.
We have.
So we've done a little bit about Andy and his background,
yes,
and he's joining the hobby and what have you, and the progression of Radical to iREEF and the success that iREEF is now. I think we'll move on a little bit to Steph. I think,
yes,
you know, I had a great chat with you earlier on, Steph, and I got to learn quite a lot about you. And some of it I already sort of knew a little bit about. And I don't think too many people appreciate your backstory. I think your backstory is really, really interesting. And, you know, we're, you know, like from where you came from and to where you are now. And I know we touched on it earlier on. So the first thing that impressed me is, it always impresses me, this is that, you know, good working class people's background. So you started in a chip shop, helping your mum. Yeah, is that right? How old was that?
I was about 8 to 10.
Yeah. So helping. Yeah. So yeah, I know. Do you know what though? I mean, it's where the hard graft stuff like that always impresses me. You know, like I was telling you earlier on, if I look at a CV and I'm looking at new staff, I'll go past all the aquatic bullshit that they've learned wrong. I'll flip to the back, look at hobbies and interests, and I see that, oh look, they play, you know, guitar, that's good, creative, and then also a five-a-side football, good team spirit, and all the rest of it. And then from 16 to 18, they worked in McDonald's. I go, yep, they've got a job. You know, so sometimes I think sometimes that those sorts of things, when I'm not looking for A-levels, I'm looking for people that work hard. So I think that impressed me. But what impressed me the most is, as you know, I've got a family member who's currently under care at the moment and is dependent on carers. And I don't think too many people watching this evening will realise that the Yorkshire Reefer story only starts really. How many years ago did the Yorkshire Reefer start itself?
About 3 years, nearly 3 years ago, I think. Yeah,
and 3 years prior to that, and you was in as a working initially as a basic carer, progressing into management of care.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell people what you were telling me? Because I honestly think this is really interesting about you, and you know, my family are so dependent on carers. For my sister, so I'm really interested. I'll let you speak, Steph. Go on, fire away, chat. Tell us your story.
Okay, so the Yorkshire Reefer was 3 years ago, but I've always had tanks. My dad's kept marine fish my whole life, but I was too busy. I was working in adult social care. 14 years I did in adult social care. So when you know, it was really funny actually, because I was a semi-professional rugby player, a part-time rock star, and a carer. So I had a lot of stuff going on, and then things got serious when I had my first child, Hendrix, my son. And I decided to
right name, such a good
I
name.
know, it's amazing. Isn't it?
I had full reign with that. I had full reign with that. So he's 8 now, and that's when I started to get serious. You know, it hit me like a wrecking ball. I was like, wow, I'm going to be a dad. And actually, at the time, it was the worst time in my life. And I'm going to go over this on the YouTube channel a bit more, how reefing and mental health for me are like two peas in the pod. Yeah. Because my dad, when I found out I was becoming a dad, my dad just got a diagnosis with prostate cancer.
Wow.
It was the worst thing ever. All throughout this time, I've still been working in the care sector, so doing adult social care. And, you know, I had a really bad time with my mental health. And then I remember the morning I got up and I just went, you know what? No one's going to come and save the day. I need to sort of pick myself up and take action now. And I applied myself and started to progress as a sort of deputy manager, then as a service manager. And I was a service manager for, I think, 2 or 3 years. Managed the west district, sort of like a hub in Leeds for adults with learning disabilities. So everything from mental health to learning disabilities, Down syndrome, people in the community. And I managed that service throughout lockdown. It was the hardest challenge of my whole life. It was so hard to keep people's spirits high. And, you know, I had a staff team of 55 people and 30 people with learning disabilities that I had to make sure risk assessments were updated, rotas, budgets, the whole shebang. It was incredibly difficult. But throughout the whole thing, the thing that kept me grounded and that I looked forward to was my reef tank. And I only had a little Fluval Evo back then, you know, compared to having like 4 tanks in the house now. Yeah. But 1 year was really tough for me. We had four people in our service who passed away. And it was just incredibly difficult for the whole staff team. But this last one really affected me. I was really invested in this person's, you know, at the end of the day, I always wanted to help people. I've always, you know, like what I'm doing now, traveling the world is not, I'm not making YouTube videos telling people how to do reefing. I'm traveling the world and trying to learn as much as I can to give you information that's going to make you succeed and help you stay in the hobby. And that's why kind of at the minute, you're just getting me jumping around and, you know, like, I
think that's what's wonderful, Stephan, because, like, you know, I think that most of the people have been very successful on YouTube. They're not necessarily like what you would say were ultimate experts, you know. No. You know, and in fact, I don't, you know, there might be some really relevant information that you might consult on YouTube, for example, that are specific to a problem you might be having in a reef tank, which I might be good at, or Andy might be good at, but for the general enjoyment aspect of it all, and this is where it all starts actually, because Paul and Jay, of course, were doing the Friday night live stream originally. It was just about fun. It was just about being happy, and that's there we go. Look, Jay, exactly, Jay. Yeah. And it really is, you know, I think a great thing that you're doing, because it's not about trying. You're not making people feel uncomfortable with a level of knowledge that they can't understand or something like that. And the reefing hobby, as Andy will tell you, 70% of the customers that walk through the door, they're not SPS gurus. You know, there's a small minority of people that are really focused on that, and the rest of people are just having fun with a reef tank. And I think you really appeal to those people. Yeah,
I do appreciate that, Paul, and you know, you wanted to discuss a bit of like where it came from, but if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't. You know, I did a lot of stuff in the music industry as well. People often ask me questions about the videos, and I think the videos is due to the creativity as a musician, creating songs and creating music. But this has all been my escapism from what was my 9 to 5, really, which is, you know, I started at the very basic of feeding people their breakfast, dinner, and tea. And personal care, to then running a service with 55 people who were get up in the morning to help other people. And to me, I loved that. I really did love that. And now my job has changed completely, and I've got an opportunity to make content for people in our industry. And I love every single day I wake up. I just can't wait to try a new, learn a new effect for a video, because I've got time to do that now, or travel to New York City and hang out with Andrew for a weekend or wherever it is next, you know. So my channel will always...
15 years in care, Steph, that is a lifetime achievement, because my mum and dad get through carers like a rate or not. So I mean, first of all, it is a shockingly paid industry. We were only talking earlier on about some of those people sitting in the city that are, you know, pulling in hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of salary a year. You know, that have never contributed nothing to society apart from maybe employing a maid or something in the house or whatever. But, you know, you've gone literally from there, it sounds a bit crude, this, from wiping someone's arse to flying on jets to New York. I mean, you know, what a great story, and a fantastic story. And one of the things I wanted to bring up as well is you two together, because obviously you're both musicians as well. And I know how competitive musicians are, just like reef keeping. There's always a lot of banter, isn't there? And I used to knock around with a band as well, and they would always, I never really understood it, but for some reason you always slag your bass guitarist off for some reason. I don't
Definitely,
just 4 strings.
and drummers apparently have got no brains or something. I don't know what it is, but you know, I can imagine that you two have a lot of there's a lot more to you two than there is just the fish stuff as well. So is there the music stuff, and is there ever going to be an Andy and Steph goes live rock night? Is there or not?
I think.
Or are you too much of a good guitarist?
So I work in a working band on the weekend anyway. So it's but it's, you know, it's, I mean, literally I'll go from here at 6 o'clock on a night on a Friday if I'm gigging, and I'll then go to the gig and I won't get until like 1, 2 in the morning, and then I'm up the next day for work, etc. But I'm a guitarist in that band, which is my love. That's what I love doing. It's kind of my stress relief, as well as this. It's one of the things that I love to do. Now, was it at the opening event where we did that stupid guitar thing, where we were singing stuff? Yeah, we'll have to post that up one day. But we get on. I mean, how long have I known you now?
The story is, I went into Radical, and I was going to pause for thought. I probably shouldn't name stores, but I did already do that, so I've named it now. Stuff, and it wasn't very good, and I was losing stock, and I ended up going to see Andy, and Andy was a wealth of knowledge for me at the time, and I just kind of went back to, so it became my LFS, went back, got to know Andy, and became a musician to the same music, things like that. So we kind of like, Andy is obviously a professional LFS manager, but then sort of kind of became a bit of a friend in that respect as well.
You used to come in, going back to his previous role, he'd come in and he'd go, oh, I've had a bad week or this, that, and the other, and we kind of talk. Yeah, and then he'd buy a Scully or something or whatever at the time or whatever it was and put it in his little 52 litre. I remember you doing that.
Yeah, man.
And you were like, wow, yeah, cool. But then we kind of, I think we became friends, did this thing, and you were doing your Instagram thing and everything else. And then I think we did that little Radical Reefers thing, didn't we? Which was
the YouTube thing.
The YouTube thing for 1 minute. And then Yorkshire Reefer just went boom, didn't it?
Yeah. I was, I mean, I don't know. It's nice to have a reliable store, which the owner, which and Andy always looked at. You know, Andy basically, I had issues with gear and stuff like you do. Didn't have lots of money to spend, even though I did go and buy Scullies. And Andy would often hook me up with lending me a power head or something, which helped massively for me to, till the next payday or something. And then I got a power head, and so it just became. I grew to have a lot of respect for Andy, and then I think it's just kind of regular. Now I see him because I come here all the time, and I've got a really good gem of a store now in the north. So spend a lot of time here, more than I should probably on a weekend. Bring the kids. Where we going, Dad? iREEF. Oh, what? Yeah. Luckily,
I get that. I get lots of dads that can go to AAC as long as you take.
Exactly.
You can go as long as you take the kids. Yeah.
Well, get your missus to create an Instagram account like I've done, and then it's a family affair now.
Yeah.
I think you're so lucky if you're near an LFS, and an LFS that's really good, because there's loads of people around the country that have to travel hours to go to a store, let alone a store that is really good. I think it helps so much in terms of your hobby and makes it a lot easier.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, but, I mean, I don't know where you sit with this, Paul, but I mean, what I've found is definitely if there's more shops in an area, you tend to have more road trips coming to an area, certainly, and you'll get more people visit and things like that. We're lucky, I think, up in Manchester way that we've got quite a lot of good stores around here, well-respected shops. Some might be surprised I'm saying that. Genuinely, there is.
Well, I can prove this to you, Andy. But what the change in Essex? So once upon a time, there used to be the M25 fish shop tours, and people would drive down from the north when there wasn't much in the north, and they would come. And the reason what they would do is they'd make a day of it. So they'd start round at say Ed at Maidenhead, Windsor. Yeah. When he was there, so at the Windsor branch, which is now, I believe, what's it called now? Ed's new store, Moss End. It's now called Moss End, but it used to be at Windsor. So you had Ed. So they'd start with Ed at Windsor, work their way around to St Albans, where they had another quite large Maidenhead. Then they would pop into me. Then they would go to H2O. Then they would go to Reef Lounge. Then they would go to Dartford. Then they would go to. So basically, you could do about 6 or 7 shops, all within about 20, 30 miles of one another. Yeah. But guess what? That's changed. It's still there. A lot of them stores are there, but there was more. I mean, there was 16. I'm sure there was something like 16 stores in Essex at one stage selling marines.
There's still a large conurbation of LFS in Essex.
Yeah, there is. And
I think, like you mentioned, so you've got these hubs almost when there's a few, then there's sparse out to Norfolk and that way, for example. There's not a lot, is there?
Yeah, and what's changed though, Andy, is that it's not as active, the hobby maybe. I mean, I'm lucky where I am, and AAC's done fine, but the buzz, I think the buzz is almost more so in your neck of the woods these days. Like you said, you've got Finest Aquatics, haven't you? You've got the Abyss, you've got you've got, names, you've got Mansfield I went to, which was pretty good as well.
So you've got Kraken, Out the Blue, you've got Bursco, you've got loads of really good shops around in the Manchester area, and I think it's good to have that. I noticed when we were Radical in the middle of Leeds, kind of by ourselves, there was a few shops around, and they've ended up closing down. And then what you stopped seeing was necessarily road trips coming in, because what had happened was it was like, oh well, we're driving 2 hours to go to one shop. It doesn't work. Exactly. Whereas we're seeing here, especially on a weekend at the moment, we're getting people driving from all over the place. And those guys aren't just coming here. They're going to Abyss. They're going to as far as Finest, Kraken, whatever else. And that's great. That's what we want, and I will never be precious over that, because I've learned that lesson. For when I first set up, honestly, I think when you first set up, you're naive and you'll be going, oh, I can't believe they're spending money there instead of with me. And why? But what you suddenly realise is, for a healthy hobby, everybody needs to shop around and go everywhere to kind of see
Yes.
the differences and this, that, and the other. And actually, most shops will have different livestock in at different points in the thing, and that's what interests people.
Yeah, people are not necessarily traveling because they're trying to shave a pound off of a fish. They're traveling because they just want to see new things. Because ultimately, I mean, when I it's very difficult for me to go to a lot of stores locally here. I'm more welcome elsewhere. But for example, I used to like going up the A127, which is near where Paul lives, that way, sort of Romford, Hornchurch way. And then I would go down the A127 and I'd pop into Swallow Aquatics, and Swallows have a great tropical freshwater section. When you're staring at marines all day long, which is great, which I love, but I do like to see the weird and wonderful tropicals. And I was really lucky because I went, I called it up north, but you call it the Midlands. When I went up to see Wolf Aquatics in Mansfield. And Wolf Aquatics, I loved it. I mean, it was a fantastic shop, and there was cold water. I mean, I love all. I've kept everything, but they had cold water fish species that I'd never seen before. So it was a really, really good trip. But a healthy hobby, like you said, is about having multiple stores. And Stuart Bertram once from D&D once said to me, Paul, East Anglia. I mean, it's recovering now because you've got Little Fish Aquatics and there's a few more Reef Gems and a few others now on the East Coast. But there was a point in East Anglia where you couldn't get any RO water. Now, some people, especially if they're in a rented situation, they're not allowed to fit RO units. So they can't even find a way around that way. And the hobby pretty much died in East Anglia for a little while. Now it's starting to recover again. But I mean, it is important that there is a good network of stores. And I know when I was on the OATA bench, particularly, that's their focus this year, is about trying to encourage more of this and a good and a healthy trade. So I know that OATA are actually featuring Love.
Yes,
they're coming to Love to Reef this year. We'll have Matt Bond down there.
So I was speaking to Matt Bond yesterday because he's not only going to have a stand. So talking about that, but also he's going to be one of the speakers. So we was trying to, what's he going to talk about? We still haven't got there yet because I need to sort out the other speakers and get a thread through out of it. But be really good hearing from OATA in terms of what they do, because what they do is under the surface. You don't hear about it. This is the problem. More obviously than I do.
A lot of the problem is that OATA's not very easily seen, but that doesn't mean that they're not working. So let me put a scenario for those that are listening, although we're all marine fish keepers here tonight. So some of us will know what a zebraplec is, a zebrapleco. When I first came across that species, which I think was late 80s, I think, something like that. That fish was about £75 then, wild import from Brazil. And it was an incredibly special moment for that when that fish arrived for the first time. And of course, what you don't know as a hobbyist is that species is fairly localized in the Amazon region. It's not found throughout the Amazon. It's found in a relatively small area. Right. Well, put it this way, without Matt Bond and Dominic, chances are there'll be no zebraplex in the trade today worldwide. So OATA doesn't just do what you see on UK soil. Yeah. It also influences decisions across many other organisations, trade organisations. And it was down to Matt, I believe, and Dominic that we now have the zebrapleco on CITES Appendix 2, whereas it was about to go on to CITES Appendix 1. And even though they're tank bred, so a lot of people think, oh, well, we should all buy tank bred fish. If there's ever an international ban on one particular species, it won't matter whether it's tank bred or whether it's wild. You just can't have them.
Yeah.
So that's what they're the sort of battles that OATA fight behind the scenes that no one really ever hears about.
Yeah.
And right now, OATA's never done so much work for the marine side of the hobby. When I joined, one of the comments I made was, I'm sick and tired of hearing about pond plants, because when I was getting my emails come through, it was always about invasive pond plant species and things like that, and getting dealers to be responsible about their sales and that sort of thing. But over in more recent times, there's been a heavy focus by OATA, and I know Laura's in the chat tonight, but Laura dedicates hours and hours and hours of her free time to try and make sure that this trade maintains in a healthy and reliable and sustainable manner. And people just don't appreciate how much work. And I've left OATA. So, you know, once you've been in it and you've found out a bit, you suddenly realise how much is really going on.
Yeah, he's talking to me about the amount of data they collect.
Yeah.
And they have people in PhDs and stuff like that because of their funding to then go and collect the data that then helps them to put a balanced view across as to why this shouldn't be banned or why this should happen and how it's sustainable and how it helps the local villages and other stuff like that. So how the ecosystem, and one thing we talked about yesterday, actually if the villagers weren't there, then actually they help keep the reefs. So it's a bit like farmers and they tend to the land. You know, they do a similar job in that respect, and they will only take, and then if they wasn't there for the ornamental trade, they'll go into fishery for eating, and they take far more fish from the sea.
Right, so imagine this. Imagine this. So we're talking about a little damselfish, right?
Yeah.
As Andy will tell you, on a lot of import lists, you're probably looking at about 90 cents for a damsel. But of course, we've got to ship it to the UK, folks. So there's a lot of charges involved, and they'll end up about 5 or 6 quid trade, roughly. And me and Andy will be selling them for 10, 12 quid or something. Right. So there's the long and short of it. But that 60 cents fish, if we weren't buying that fish, there's no reason to keep hold of the coral and the rock that these fish live in and stuff like that. So when we end up with food fish and all we're looking for is stuff for the table, which is this size, they're still only going to get 60 cents for a fish this big. Yeah, so the ornamental trade as such,
they
in a
get
way,
more for ornamental
they
per
and
fish,
then they become they become very protective over their own fishing grounds. They're self-policing.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to take
tend to it like you do your garden.
Yeah, and also they'll have a good understanding of how many fish they're taking. So, for example, if it was flame angels and all of a sudden they couldn't find flame angels, they'd hold off because they realised they may have took too many. Or so they're working often.
So it's in their interest.
It's in their interest to make sure that the environment that the fish are caught in is kept and looked after properly.
Yeah,
you know. So anyway, I think that,
somebody about this earlier. They were talking about sustainability with an hobby, and I had to go back to him and say, listen, because of the hobby and the research that's done in the background by bodies like OATA, which a lot of shop owners probably, some of them really should join and do the research. I mean, I was naive a long time ago, and now I understand talking to people like Paul, Phil, Brian. I mean, some of those names won't mean a lot to people, but talking to those kind of people, they educate you on what actually happens behind the scenes and what actually needs to happen. And it actually benefits those individual areas where the hobby's active, like you've just said, Paul. So it's a good thing.
You know, what we have to also remember, folks, as well, is that although we all love our hobby and we all really care for our animals and we want a sustainable and reliable and sensible trade, you know, OATA works on scientific facts. It collect, like Paul was saying, it's all data, it's all science, and it can all be backed up. Unfortunately, nowadays, the animal anti-groups particularly, they don't want you keeping a dog or a cat even. You know, and it wasn't that long ago that Scotland tried passing a ban on all wild exotic animals. That would have meant that the aquarium trade would have also suffered in Scotland. So I don't know if Ron maybe knows a little bit about that. But certainly up in Scotland, but there was a very close moment where Scotland could have seen no wild exotics, you know, because they'll lump reptiles in. They'll be thinking of reptiles when they say wild exotics, but they won't realise that tank-bred clownfish, as well, will fall into this, you know, so there could also be this problem whereby, you know, we know, I mean, Italy had a change of government. And then overnight, they banned all marine ornamentals, full stop. And then they gradually got them back as they were studying and so forth. So without OATA standing in government and sometimes protecting us from the emotion that's out there from animal anti-groups, the science needs to be presented so that we don't end up with no hobby. So I think having OATA this year at Love to Reef would be really good. And one of the things I know that Matt Bond's keen to do at the moment is to try and show people a little bit more about. It's about awareness. OATA's not been very good at showing
awareness of the industry and awareness of how the hobbyists can help. So not necessarily responsibility, but how can hobbyists help the hobby that they love so much? And I suppose the different parts of the pie and how it all works together. So we just kind of work through, because it's a massive topic, but having 20 minutes, do you do something that's quite narrow but informative, but not telling you, and you feel educated or informed, should we say? So it's kind of trying to pick through the topics is not easy.
And to give you an idea for those of you watching that don't, I mean, Andy obviously knows, but you know, we're talking about membership to OATA, which is a couple of £100 or something for retailers. I mean, it's nothing, you know, really.
Well,
so
protect our industry.
to protect the industry, it's a very. So I'm really surprised actually. There's a lot of dealers out there still sort of believing it's just a gentleman's club, which is what a lot of people think it is, you know. But it's far from that. I know that obviously wholesalers and distributors, certainly firms like TMC, are like the largest contributors to OATA, you know. But as I say, so distribution and wholesale, they pay the lion's share of what OATA needs in order to survive, you know. But there has to be reserves, because if we ever end up in a situation where we have to fight for our hobby, that money's going to come out the OATA pot, you know, and that's a vitally important part. As I said, most hobbyists won't realise without them, your hobby's in danger, is what I would say, you know, and it could still be in danger even with them, but like at least we have someone out there to try and make sure that we don't end up with no hobby. Yeah, you know,
absolutely.
Right, should we move on?
Should we go into the comments?
Yeah, go into the comments. Yeah, let's do the comments.
So first one is, what is the date of Love to Reef? It's the 17th of May. If you want to buy tickets, you can go to AAC website, in store, or you can message me, Fish Palace, on Instagram, or Love to Reef on Facebook.
Mark, if you mention at the till when you're next in, and your Barry or someone can help sort you out a slip, the slip then goes off to Paul by email, and then he will then raise that ticket for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You get a ticket 2 weeks before. Got a couple of people join a little bit later. So hi, Tom. Hi, Hayley.
Hi, Hayley. I like her avatar. You say that.
Where's Hayley's avatar?
Yeah, look.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, little pug shot.
Really what AI can do, can't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then there's a question. Well, not really a question. Oh, it is. Are Strattons the gold standard? So do you have a... Well, are you using Strattons in store yet?
Put it this way. I mean, so I'm presuming that Jam is in the US. From what he's saying there, and I would say, Jam, that the long and short of it is that Strattons are an incredibly high quality built light. I mean, they're stunning. Just looking at them and feeling they're a solid one piece. It's like alloy wheels on a car, is how I'd explain it. They're really
it's like an iPad, Paul. Like an iPad.
Yeah. Well, I'd say in some respects it's almost better quality than an iPad these days. From the iPad I've got here, but generally, I would say that the quality of light from a Stratton is more akin to T5s, of which ATI were really good at doing T5s. They were superb at that.
Yeah.
The ATI tube fixtures were incredibly popular. You know, I'm probably, there's a few old boys here tonight. I miss my ATI tubes, is the truth of it. But we can't go down that road anymore. That's gone. But the ATI Stratton, without a doubt, is the highest quality fixture, I think, on the market. And from an industrial perspective, I'd say that the Philips Coral Care is probably still the...
That is a beast,
is a beast, but it's not for your house.
It's really heavy, yeah.
Even the Mark II, but in terms of quality build. But, Jam, most of us, we tend to watch America, I think, and you know, I'm a bit of a Radian fan, and I've used Radians for donkey's years, and AI Hydras and things like that, you know. So I would say that if they make their way to the US, they're definitely worth a look at. But you'll need to get out the old American Express for it, because they're not cheap. Right, we're on to now.
Got some other comments here. Fair play, mate. My life has been in the care industry over 30 years.
I didn't know Mark was in the care too. He's a customer of AAC. I didn't know. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just coming down, and then
wow,
30 years in care. Unbelievable respect for having her colleagues. Wow. Amazing. Fair play. It's a lot, isn't it?
What's that there?
I've also been reliant on carers for the past 6 months from my mum. When she fractured her spine, saved a life shred of sanity I had left.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Yorkshire Reefer, absolute gent.
Oh, nice.
Thank you,
Matt, there's a lot of love there, a lot of comments around
Martin there, but
around
yeah.
that. Oh, hi Martin.
Hi,
Are you
Martin.
doing well?
Mm.
And what we've got here, 2-hour road trip to either way to AAC, worth it every time.
Oh, thanks, Matt.
And then there was Liam went on a road trip with Drippy, and Drippy got him to buy a shark.
Yeah.
So that's the downside of
Yeah.
peer pressure.
Yeah, he got absolutely dug out. He did actually. Poor old Gill's Aquarium, Liam.
Is that Bruce?
Yeah, it's Liam and Bruce. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
He bought the shark.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not Bruce and Tia.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Wholesale Tropical, I think they're still there.
Oh no, they're not. They've just gone.
Have they?
They've
Because
just
I
sold.
was there a year ago.
No, they've sold.
'Cause
Like Wholesale
they?
Tropicals Northern Gentleman
for donkey's
was
years.
around. It's been around for 40, 50 years, and they were the first people to ever bring Zebraplex into the UK, I believe, Peter. Talking about Zebraplex earlier on and gold nuggets and things like that. They were always called Wholesale Tropicals, however, they were only retail.
Yeah.
Which is an odd name, but they were superb. It was like an Aladdin's cave. They would have like licorice garamis from a puddle in the middle of Borneo and things like that. I mean, they were an absolute amazing store. But in probably one of the worst areas at the time in London, it was at the time when I used to go there. I don't know if Bethnal Green's changed, but
it has changed 2 or 3 times since I used to work there, which was about 15 years ago.
But yeah, unfortunately, Peter, there is no more Wholesale Tropicals, I believe. I believe it shut the other day. They sold the land, I think, for millions, and it went into flats, I think, like everything does.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. So just go for
Oh,
this one
Katie.
first.
Hello, Katie.
For women
The
reefers.
missus is in.
Oh yeah. This is
Space for one. It's the
Yeah.
new seahorse
Oh,
tank.
darling.
Brilliant.
seahorse tank. Ooh.
Yeah, she's doing seahorse tank.
In the store.
Yeah, she'll be having a chat with you, Paul.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
As Paul is saying, Show and I have driven from Scotland to see Andy at iREEF to Abyss and Finest, and now plans set for Love to Reef and ASA. Not much up in the true north.
Well, we look
thanks, Tommy.
forward to seeing you, Tommy.
Absolutely.
Lovely people.
Awesome.
Be brilliant.
Mm.
Thank you. We once did a Welshie road trip. We came to see you, Laura. What store were you at before Eco?
She was Amwell Aquatics, Ben. If you remember Benji, up at Amwell Aquatics, is sort of where Laura crafted her skills from, if you like, before she went into wholesale.
Yep. And then Ben's talking about on the road trip here. Met Martin Lakin, invited us to see him, but we didn't have time.
He's always welcoming. You'd only have to shoot Martin a message, and he's another one. The thing is with Martin is that he's one of those guys that's not on Facebook that often, not on Instagram, not on YouTube and what have you. But if you just shoot him a message via Facebook, expect to have about a 2 or 3 day delay because he doesn't use it that often. But he's such a welcoming guy. I'm sure Benny would see you and Ian any day of the week.
Yeah. DC Reefing, good evening to you. Bought a ticket for Love to Reef. Thank you very much. Are Stratton's proven at growing coals yet? Have they been out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Their Strattons have been around for a long time. It's just that they've had, what happened was we couldn't get decent distribution on it or any decent someone to handle the warranty, which is why we never took them on.
Right.
There was a moment where TMC had ATI, but when the tube days, and then the Stratton came out, but it never really. Give you an idea, Bursco used to sell a few Strattons. People did sell Strattons
I
over
vaguely
here.
remember the name, but didn't really catch on for that reason.
They didn't really catch on. I think it's fair to say the Stratton's software is designed for more of the techie type guy.
So is it still
it's PC
more cumbersome,
based,
should we say, rather than, I suppose, Ecotech, which is on...
It is. Obviously,
a lot of them are app now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But you know what? Let's be honest. Sometimes with a light like that, why on earth do you want to play with it?
I don't. Once I've set when I set them up, and I had the Gen 2, I used to plug it into your PC.
Yes.
And I only ever used it once, is when I've set up, and I very rarely use Mobius at all.
Yeah.
I need to.
See, like on the Gen 1, Gen 2 Ecotech, you used to have to use a PC like you say for that.
In fact, you used to plug it into the light with a USB, and I had to bring my PC over to it because I didn't stretch long enough.
Yeah.
And that's how I set up through the Reef.
Well, if you think about that, that's how the Stratton sort of is.
Right.
It has got an app, sort
Yeah.
of an app now, but it's a little bit more complex to use. But in saying that, there's a lot of really superb. They've really thought it out. The presets on the Stratton, I don't know why anyone else would choose.
And they kind of like equivalent of AB plus.
They're
and
like,
that kind of stuff.
they've
Kind of equivalent.
Yeah, they've nicked the AB plus, as most manufacturers have over the years, from Ecotech's research and what have you. But generally, you'll find the AB plus in a lot of lights these days.
Cool. So hopefully I answered the question, Jay, on that. Practical evening, Reefer, even all missed the start, but catch up. Nice to see Andy. Popped into iREEF a few weeks back on my way to Stafford from Scotland, and it's a cracking score.
Fantastic.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
And then we've got Set and Forget.
Yeah, Joe's just bought 2 Strattons
Yes,
from us.
earlier, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing for Joe, who's doing this for a professional living. You know,
Yes.
Joe does. You've seen some of the work he
Wow.
done today. That blew your mind. You know,
Absolutely.
I don't think Joe.
6-figure tanks.
Yeah, 6-figure tanks Joe does here and there. And, you know, the last thing Joe wants to do when he gets home is fiddle about with more settings.
Exactly, yeah.
So set and forget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And then the last one, that and the par reading they give in the software is pretty.
Yes,
Yeah.
He used Parwise, actually, Joe. Joe took a Parwise, the new Parwise Pro home, Andy, the other day. And he married the ATI Stratton's profile, and it married straight away.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Was that when the water was still?
Sam?
That was when the water was still, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. No.
Yeah, he managed to fill all the per graph, if you like, with the Stratton, no problem.
Brill.
Nice.
Some are not doing it as much. People don't need to worry if they've got a Parwise Pro and then they check their lights. They might see a big peak in the blue and a bit missing here and a bit missing there, and then there's a peak here and stuff. Oh, don't let that worry you out there. It's just that with something like the Stratton, I would say it's more like that sort of metal halide T5 on some of the presets. It looks very much like that color temperature.
Okay.
So some people that have been used to looking at corals under Smurf blue all the time might be in for a shock if they buy a Stratton, because the Stratton's there are a bit bluer. The Gen 2 has a little bit more blue in it,
So you can program it to blue, and
but let's be honest, like the reality is the coral reef has never seen a royal blue LED. It might have an aqua blue. It might be a slight blue, but it's not a royal Smurf blue LED that we've all grown to love.
I hate it.
Do you?
I'm not a lover of. I like.
Then
my
you
lights.
need Strattons, Paul.
I mean,
how many do you want?
Oh no, I like white light because I like to see the color of the fish. And in a bigger tank, I'll have them whiter, because otherwise too blue, they just get washed out. So if you've got a yellow tank and you've got some nice amphias and stuff like that, and you spend some serious money, they just get washed out. Rob's tank's beautiful, pelagic swimmer, 13 foot, and his lights when I've been a whiter because you see the fish.
Yeah.
That's it's personal preference.
But there's nothing like looking at psychedelic corals, is there, on a Friday night after a skinful?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have to put on your Jaffa glasses, you know my view on this.
Oh, yeah.
Then what's the point?
Well, I've only just took my Jaffa glasses off. I've had them on most of today, as it happens. Yeah. Right. Oh, where are we now?
Right. I think we are.
Just bought some, hasn't he, by the looks of it? Yeah, he's bought ATI Sirius lights, which is the other model. I think put them on a mixed reef setting, run beautifully. Exactly. I mean, again, I bet you Martin probably programmed them once and walked away and left them.
Yeah,
that'll be my guess.
So Martin, have you still got the tank in one end of the house and the sump in the other end of the house? Because I remember going to his house years and years ago. I'd only been in the hobby maybe 2 or 3 years, about 8 years ago, and he had a lovely tank and he had a sump tank. With the sump was just.
He's one of the original Essex Reefers, isn't he?
He is, yeah. So he's one of the first people I got to know from the Essex Reef Club when we used to meet up and stuff like that. In the days where you always used to meet up at and forums and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so Joe's just got another little comment there. Look, just while we're on Strattons, we might as well do it. Yeah. Oh yeah, Jay, come
Not on your tank.
No, hang on a minute, because Jay's moaning about the price of a Love to Reef ticket. I can't. I can't really see it, Jay. Unless I think maybe what Jay means is, can I give him a Stratton? maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. If my numbers come up this Saturday, Jay, I'll give you a free Stratton. Okay.
Love the live stream earlier in the shop. Good to show people.
Oh, this is me and Barry experimenting. We feel like such lemons. See, Andy, you was getting all nervous.
Is this on Instagram? Or
no,
what?
I did a live on Facebook. Now, Andy was saying how nervous he was about coming on tonight and doing a live stream. Yeah, he's been doing Facebook store things forever.
That's where I remember seeing him on the Friday night.
That's it. And then
every Friday.
And then today, I said to Barry, I said, come on, we got to announce about tonight. And that's why we did it, hoping that we would get a few more people come on tonight and see Andy and Stephan, what have you. So I thought we better do it. So
it's worked. We've still got 68 people.
Yeah, we gave it a go.
People.
It weren't bad. It weren't great, you know, but
it's a first attempt.
It's a first attempt. So, you know, maybe we should do a few more and what have you. But you know, it's like Andy though. When you do those lives and you go up to a tank and you want to show them the candy basilic that we've got, and then where is it? Well, I don't know. you know, it looked like we had nothing in earlier on because everything was hiding.
Do you know what? I worked this one out. Like, what was it? It'd probably be 3 years ago, whatever it was. And you just stand back slightly from the tank, and then the fish stay out. Whereas if you go straight with the camera, they all just go whoop and go. It gets easier as you do more.
Yeah, I'll give it a bit more of a try soon. I think it's something that me and Barry spoken about.
You should do it.
What, just so you can take the piss out of me?
Well, that's there is that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm waiting for. I thought I won't announce that we're doing it because I just know there'll be comments on there straight away. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and so they should.
As Paul's got time and he's not flying in his helicopter or something. You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
I saw your personalised plate the other day.
I saw your person. Do you remember that when someone put there was a Bentley in London, Andy?
Yeah.
That had AAC
and it was his. Yeah.
Right. And I had a customer screenshot it and then share it everywhere. Go, look, Paul's got a new car and all of that. You know. Yeah.
He got rumbled.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. So, first of all, yes. Right. So, what we're going to do is now we're going to move on to weREEF.
I love that name.
I love it as well. I love the flyer, Andy. The flyer. Whoever came up with the flyer, it was superb.
It was good.
As soon as I saw Metallica with a cross through it, I thought this is funny. This is good. So, yeah, I love the flyer. Can we tell people that are watching what can they expect? Obviously, it's not this Saturday, folks. It's the following Saturday. So not this Saturday, the next Saturday. Andy's got his big day, just like we have at AAC, called weREEF. Right? What's it all about, Andy?
So 5th of April. So we used to do Aquafest and things like that, as people are aware. And I mean, we're going back. I mean, you started it off, Paul, with Coral Freaks. Yeah, you do a show and, you know, people come down and see stuff and you'd have reps there and this, that, and the other. You show off new technology potentially. And what you end up doing is creating a bit of a buzz and an atmosphere and more reefers. The community comes together. People have a drink. People eat, you know, lots of chats going on, but lots of obviously buying as well. You know, that's good for a business. Also, it's good for the area. The amount of people we're going to attract into the area on the 5th of April isn't just for iREEF. It's good for everybody around it as well. Because believe me, there's people going to go here and then they're going to go there and there and there and there. Yeah. And the idea behind these shows, you've got Kraken does Crackner, Finest does Finest. You know, you guys are doing Love to Reef, which is going to be phenomenal. I think Love to Reef is a bit of a bigger event than just a local event that we're doing. But the idea behind it is to have a good busy day where a community comes and visits. They can spend some money, obviously, have a chat, talk to people like yourselves. Yeah. And just generally have fun for a day. We've got bouncy castles there. We've got face painters there for the kids, this, that, and the other. Free barbecue. There'll be drinks. There'll be all sorts. But the long and short of it is this. It's an event where people could turn up and talk. Yeah, and learn. Yeah, and it's as simple as that. And yeah, there's always going to be the business element of it. We're having a busy day. Yeah, but the fact is we want to have more of these hobbyists come to the shop. I was going to say customers, but hobbyists come to the shop, get to know what we're about. But the other thing is, they talk to other hobbyists they might not have known before.
They learn. They all learn off one another. Yeah, that's the most important. And I'll tell you what's lovely. Yeah. Paul made a real point of this when Jay was and was doing the stream as well. Again, it's about, there are lots of people out there. It can at times seem quite elitist, the marine side of the hobby. And when there are new people coming into the hobby, they can feel a little bit scared, a bit out of place, and a bit whatever. And I think these meets like weREEF and whatever, like you said, you're going to have hobbyists at this level, hobbyists at that level, all interacting, and then they're starting to learn and chat and talk stuff about you. Look, Katie's saved the day. iREEF, weREEF, weREEF. Free barbecue, Andy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I'm into that. Bouncy castle for me. Oh no, for the kids, and maybe Andy later on.
But the thing is, it's like you guys know, if you've got a better community in the area, everybody bounces off each other. And the other thing as well is everybody's growing corals, so you end up with a successful industry where people are bringing the shop frags as well and sharing stuff, and that happens. And what you end up with is a more successful hobby industry around the shop and the shops in that area as well. And this thing where you have the elitists, like what we're talking about, it's quite, I don't like it. I mean, you'll see them on the forums. We tell people to kind of stay away from forums because there's that many different opinions out there. And you're right, there's many different ways of skinning a cat. Within the hobby. But you know, one of the things that I like is there are some more what I'd call friendly elite reefers now that will take time to help the new guys.
Yes, absolutely.
You've got more access with social media to speak to people like Steph, even yourself. You could even go and speak to Andy Sandel if you wanted to. Yeah, you've got that ability from a laptop now to do that. I don't know what it would be like without social media because I wasn't in the hobby at that point. You will, Paul, obviously, you know, but
I think the difference is, I think the hobby can be quite lonely unless you reach out. The difference is that people used to, and I still do with people local. People used to, I mean, I give away corals all the time, and people give corals to me, and they look after my corals, and there's a network that we've got, which is very much how it was 10 years ago or 8 years ago. It still happens in pockets. You might have more reefing meetings because you haven't got social media, so that's the only way that you can connect. But unless you try, you can be quite lonely.
Did used to have, like, so when I go back, say 20 years, Andy, like there used to be like club visits. I mean, I used to run a club night at Home Marine on a Thursday night. And basically, it was at like our discount club card sort of thing. We'd open the store late and what have you. But then it was really more about, again, so it did sort of go on years ago. But of course, there was no social media. And we were only really, all we really had was practical fish keeping. I think there was one magazine at the time, Marine Fish Hobbyist, possibly. I can't remember the name. But there wasn't an awful lot of press, and there wasn't but there was an awful lot more. I'll be honest with you, there was probably a lot more hobbyists back then. Yeah, being honest, I think there was more people in the hobby back then, particularly on the freshwater side of the business. So there wasn't any real need for us. We got lazy, is what I mean. The business used to find you. You didn't have to go and find the business from a business perspective. And then, but the reef clubs were quite popular. I mean, if you look at the Facebook groups that are out there, so for example, Essex Reef Club, originally, which Martin Abbott, who's in the chat, was definitely, I know, part of. You also had another little break off for that Essex Marine Forum. These are all Facebook.
There used to be forums to begin with.
Yeah, there used to be
forums died, and they went onto Facebook.
Yeah,
didn't
basically forums died, which in turn were sort of the clubby part of it. And then, of course, we ended up with social media as such. And then I think a lot of people became more insular. A lot of people were at home more, but thinking that they're interacting because they're using social media to interact. But there's nothing like face to face.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with the some of the others out there that are doing stuff at the moment, like the Reefers Network, for example, it really has encouraged a club type atmosphere. And they randomly descended on me a Saturday ago or 2 Saturdays ago. Yeah, and they literally, Rob, who's in the chat, was there, and there was a Dave, who they call, I mean, I've heard all the nicknames now. Baby Dave was there, and this guy was there, and East Coast Reefer Steve was there, and all that. And they spent the morning at the store. And it wasn't exactly like it was the world's greatest day. It's not like the greatest day's trading that I did, but it didn't matter to me. What mattered to me and the team was to see your store busy and to see all the hobbyists together is in itself a reward. You get so much reward, but from that, just them all being together.
What's the best way to put it? You know, you Saturday morning in your shop and you'll see people come through the door that you know because they come through all the time, and you know they're coming in, and some of them just come in for a coffee and a chat, but you'll see 5 or 6 of them over a call table all chatting the world away, which is how it should be. And for me, I'll support anybody. I mean, you know, the Reefers Network, you know, from my point of view, I was talking to Tom the other day. The guys, you know, there's some people in that particular group that are very, very good at what they do, and they'll impart knowledge on some of the newbies that are joining it, etc., etc. And that's what the meets are about as well. And if they're going to those meets and creating their own meets as well, and then everybody starts doing these meets, I don't care if there was a meet down the road from me on the 5th of April alongside weREEF, because it just brings more people into the area. And let's say some of those people are newbies or people that haven't bought a tank yet. That's some new people into the hobby. And what Steph's doing on the Instagram side of things, which I still think is very important, is people are watching Steph and going, I want to do that. Yeah. I look at people like, I think it's Steve East Coast Reefer. I watched his Stratton review the other night. And it was great. Because I learned something new about the Strattons. That if I only take one thing away from one influencer's or one Instagram guy's or one YouTuber guy's thing, I've learned something. And I think I was talking to you about Bobby the other week, Humblefish as well. But the amount of stuff that is loaded into my head at the moment that's all bubbling around in there, which you'll know, just from watching one channel. You know, so I get what you're saying, but I do also think the socials and the internet have played a massive part in increasing knowledge as well.
For knowledge wise, it's at your fingertips, isn't it? It's just a case of you get conflicting information. Some of it, both of it could be right or both of it could be wrong. That's the bit that for a new person, how you navigate a path is
well, I think
tough.
when people social meet rather than on Facebook, this is the difference, isn't it? Between I have to say that you can find some, if you know what your subject, you can filter through a Facebook comment and know that he's talking nonsense or well she is or whatever, and then you'll know the next guy is talking some sense. And if you're good at this hobby already, you can read through the lines. However, if you're new to the hobby and you're depending only on social media for your information, that could be dangerous. But if people then go to these meets, even if they're not in stores like mine and yours, Andy, even if they go to a church hall and have some cakes and tea or something and all hang around and chatting with one another, someone will say, well, I don't keep torch corals at less than 1.026. And someone will go, why is that then? And I go, well, because your magnesium level's slightly higher, and this thing is, and all this, and from that you learn something straight away. So I think face to face, and then some guy will go, well, I wouldn't do that, but it's in a debate and it's in a room.
You can have a conversation,
it's a conversation, and it doesn't get taken out of context. And you know, I'm sure, Andy, you've seen it in the past. You know, someone makes a comment on social media and then it upsets someone else and things. But if that was in the one room, you know, where you're all together, you know, it's never really nowhere near the problem. I think face-to-face social reef meets of any description, whether they're in a store, whether they're in a hall, doesn't matter where they are, but I think they're fundamental on how this hobby is. And as I said, I know I sound like an old git, but you go back 25 years, there was clubs for cichlids. You know, they still are, but they're smaller. There was the great British Goldfish Society that I remember being a part of, and there was all sorts of things. There was always something going on, and there were fish shows up and down the country. That's something that needs readdressing. I know that really does, because I remember going down to Sandown, a race course, to a fish show, and for tropical freshwater this was. But I think socially and for people's, we were locked up for 2 bleeding years. Let's get out the house and go and shake someone's hand. That's the way I see it. So
amen to that. No, I agree with that. I just go through a couple of comments.
Yeah,
That's a very fair point. I think intimidation is a big thing.
Yes.
The Reefers Network's a great place for newbies. There is never any judgment. That's something this hobby is getting so much better at. Absolutely.
What's old Johnny say there?
Love that it doesn't matter if you're an experienced reefer or a beginner. Everyone will make you feel
Absolutely.
welcome. Yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah. Liam, I love the new friends I've met in the hobby over the past couple of years.
Mo's in here. Like, hold on, Smoky Pub Backroom equals Bricktop. I don't know if he's referring to me as Bricktop or something. Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Nice to see you, Mo, anyway.
Hi, Mo.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else on iREEF, weREEF?
So basically, we've got a barbecue, bouncy castle, social reef, mate. I'm going to raid Andy's fridge, see if he's got any beer in it when I'm there. Hopefully, as I said, I'm hoping to turn up. I would hope about sort of early mid-morning or something like that with Ange. So hopefully, I'll see some of the people there that are in the chat when I'm there. And I'm really looking forward to Andy. I think it'll be a great day. I'm going to stay locally as well and come and see the sites and what have you. So I'm really looking forward to it. Shame you're not coming, probably.
I can't make it, unfortunately.
No?
Sure? I've got so much on.
Okay.
With my house being torn apart.
Yeah, his house has been destroyed. Reference to the... Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Right, so we've got talk about, so we've done a bit of weREEF. We're now going to do love to reef. There's a lot of reefs.
There's
involved.
A lot of love and a lot of reefing. Yeah, absolutely.
So love to reef, Paul. What's the updates? Do you want to run through suppliers that are joining us?
Yeah, so we've got, so in terms of new people, so new vendors, suppliers haven't been there before, so first year.
We've got Andy.
So Andy will be there with a frag tank, or coral tray, should I say? Selling some coral.
Talk to you about that. Nothing bad. I'll just get some specs on it because I don't know how big it is.
No, it's all right. I've got all the specs. I'm going to help Andy so that you don't have to worry too much. So all you've really got to do is worry about packing them corals properly. Yeah.
And we'll be there from midday on the Friday. Come down, set up and sort all that out. So that'd be great. Custom aquascape. So in the title. So Dan... And he make custom aquascapes out of Marco rock, which is a pretty decent rock. I know you said it, didn't you, Paul? So he makes custom aquascape. Ocean Sea products, which is the ones where you get your power heads and they oscillate. And he's got them for small tanks right up to the really big ones. So you kind of got random flow where they'll move 90 degrees,
it's funny,
180 degrees.
This gentleman's English, isn't he? Yeah, he's actually been better received at the moment in the USA.
He said there was someone who I can't remember has bought 60 pieces from him for his his coral farm.
Yeah, it must be for Chris Meckley, I'm pretty sure. I
think I'm not too sure who it is, but so he's exporting 60 pieces out there. Yeah, so I think Chris must have seen a video.
Yeah, I think him and Chris have been talking a lot. I think Coral View potentially at looking at distributing. I think I've got that right. I might not be, but yeah. So
come and see that, and then Tunzi as well. So I love Tunzi. Yeah, I know you do. I've been using Tunzi since day one in my first tank from the skimmer, the 9004, fantastic skimmer, and I think both tanks I've got Tunzi power heads. I just love Tunzi.
Well,
I just think quality stuff.
I've got some tons pumps that are around about 12 years old.
Really?
And I've never cleaned them.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's not because it's where they are. It's where the pumps are situated in a display tank. It's a right pain in the arse to get to them because I've buried them amongst rock and stuff like that. But that's why I'll always use a ton.
They're good for placement as well, aren't they? Vortex I love because they're my kind of go-to. But they're good because you can put them, especially in the nano, you can put them in corners and stuff like that, and you can hide them. But you still get really good flow.
I've just been experimenting in the farm with a new Ton 6105 with a new smart controller. And I really quite like it, but I'm actually planning a tank at home. We'll talk about that in a minute about home tanks, but for the first time in ages, but it'll be a little bit like this one behind me. It won't be particularly what people might expect it to be, but I'm going to be doing a tank without a sump. And I'm going back to tons. I'm going to do comline boxes, filter boxes, wave box, filter box. Protein skimmer internal. I'm going to simplify reef.
So you have a rear chamber.
No, I won't even have a rear chamber. I'm going to do it out.
All in the display.
It's
like
going to be
back in the day.
Tons tanks were done years ago. I don't want any complexities apart from an ATO. That's all I want. I'll have Neptune on it, obviously, because I travel a lot.
Yeah,
But
it's basic and good old days.
I need to know what he's doing when I'm not there, because I'm not there a lot. But you know, so I think I'm planning a Tunsey style aquarium. Yeah.
Dear Joe said, "Let me know when you start planning tank at home, so I can turn my phone off."
I wouldn't get you involved with that one. I want quality. Right. Right. What other ones we got?
So they're the kind of the new people for this year. Who else we've got? So we've got TMC, we have Red Sea, we have DD, we have Exodus. Ches will be there with her artwork. We've had Dan from Collective Corals, we mentioned him earlier on, from a reefing perspective, and we've got Laura from Eco Marine, and there might be one. I've got space for one or two other. I've got Reef Nutrition.
Reef Nutrition.
Oh, that's a good intro, isn't it?
I've just found out tonight. It's absolutely confirmed that I know some people will know in the chat. I know Andy will know, and I know Steph will know because I think you met him before. But I will be. Chad's going to be on next week. We're going to do a stream next Thursday. Yes, so I know we don't normally do one every week,
month or so.
Yeah, whatever. But we're going to do a stream next week. We're going to have Chad on talking about plankton and all of that. I don't know if anyone knows who Chad Clayton is from Reef Nutrition, but this gentleman's bred over 20 marine species in captivity before. He works, Reef Nutrition's a tiny little company, a subsidiary company of an enormous company called Reef Mariculture that has stadium-sized beds of phytoplankton that they supply not only to the aquarium trade, which is a minor amount. Yeah, they actually supply a lot of the food trade with all of their phytoplankton cultures for oyster rearing and things like that. So Chad is an exceptional gentleman. I've actually seen him a couple of times in talks in America and what have you. And so Chad will be joining us from California this time next week.
Fantastic. That should be good. So it'll be 7:30 next Thursday. So that'll be good. And then obviously we'll have Reef Nutrition.
Yes, so Reef Nutrition will have a stand.
So I think I've covered off all the stands. We've still got to fill probably one, maybe two guest speakers. To be fair, I did that quite late last year. Get everything sorted out, find out one or two of the speakers, and then get a thread.
Well, I think
throughout that,
possibly Chad might do a talk at Love to Reef.
Yeah,
we need to talk about that.
We need to
so it'd be really good if Chad. So last year, of course, Jamie Craggs did a lot on coral reproduction.
Yeah.
So it would be good if we spoke about, in the sense that we always keep a sort of line on where the hobby's going. And of course, without plankton, there is no hobby.
And also you see a lot of posts about people dosing phyto. It works for them, it doesn't work for them. You've got to make sure it's live. I think it's a lot of myths.
It's a lot of myths, particularly between
to get through that.
Absolutely.
Really
I mean, the myth is that the phytoplankton doesn't have to be live to rear animals. That's the first thing. So, but I won't go any further into that. But there's a process that Reef Mariculture do where they're able to keep the cells exactly the same as they were the day that they were live. Yeah. Which means that hobbyists like clownfish breeders that Angela services through Reef Nutrition, they often buy these frozen blocks of the plankton that are, and you just break a piece off and you drop it in with your rotifer culture as you're rearing your clownfish and the rotifers in. So you're not because I've grown phytoplankton. I know Andy does. And yes, we can all do Nanacropolis, but when you start getting into the more rarer species, they've got a habit of crashing. Yeah, and unless you're in laboratory standard, so when you go to Dijon, for example, where they're doing aquaculture on a grand scale, you're not allowed to walk into that phytoplankton.
I remember when I went there with you wasn't allowed to go into that room.
You have to sterilise your feet. You can't do this. I mean, phytoplankton cultures are fragile at the best of time. So one of the things that Reef Nutrition's done is enable hobbyists to not be wholeheartedly dependent on live cultures. Of course, they culture it.
Yeah.
I mean, and Chad will, I'm sure, will explain more next week. But there's only very few people that are allowed to even enter these stadiums of plankton because of biosecurity reasons. Yeah. So hopefully Chad will
that'd be cool.
Done a little bit of that.
It's not easy because I started breeding clowns. I only got to day 5 and it went on for about 6 months and loads of different batch, and it was the phyto I had the problem with. It kept on crashing, and the rotifers, I couldn't keep up the production of rotifers, but it came from the phyto not being strong enough or do what it was supposed to do, and it
It's
crashed, and so the whole thing falls apart.
It's a very fragile thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got Chad coming, Reef Nutrition. There might be, we need to talk to him, might be Matt Senai. I remember on the stream last night.
I've got that down. We had a conversation. So I'll reach out to him.
It's as big as it was last year, although it's not the world's greatest or biggest show by any means, but I think it's really lovely. I don't think have we got any plans to go anywhere? I don't think so.
I think there's a couple of things. One, it's nice and convenient. You're on the doorstep, so people not only go to a show, they get to see AAC as well. So people come down for that,
and it's cheap.
And it is cheap because the whole thing is making all the profits go to Mind. So I try and keep the cost as minimal as possible. So that's why no one gets a free ticket, other than the vendors. If I know people that want to tell us they pay for a ticket, not because I'm tight, because every penny that goes towards it, once I cover the cost, or every £20 that gets paid goes towards Mind.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to let someone come in for free, so Mind don't get 20 quid.
Well, and actual fact, a reefing audience with Coral Freaks, whatever it is. It's funny, Andy, because I literally had Matt Senai paying for a ticket for that. I had Trade paying for tickets for. If you weren't working at it or you weren't involved in it, you paid for a ticket. Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted the 20 quid or whatever much it was. I can't remember.
25. I think
25
it was,
in the kitty for Mind. So it's like that's how we did it. And in fact, a lot of suppliers actually there.
I get suppliers who go and they pay for a ticket. So I've got some on the list that I know are suppliers that are not showing.
So I know Lee from D&D, for example. He put money into the raffle, but didn't take any tickets. That's how lovely it is. So if you want to come along and you're not worried about winning something, just put a little donation in. It all helps. And just to go reiterate on where some of Paul's and the money that Paul's raised from Love to Reef. So I had a chat with the ladies from Mind, and two of where the money from these events has gone to. One, it went into local families with bereavement. So, young families have lost their parents, children that have lost their mums and dads and things. So it went into counselling. It went into counselling in schools for difficult situations in schools. And I believe that some of the money also went to Saffron Walden Army Barracks, where 20-something-year-olds are coming back from places like Afghanistan and stuff like that are absolutely PTSD'd up to the eyeballs and things like that. So this money that Paul's been raising,
we've been raising, to be fair,
but this money has been really put to good use. It's not just the good thing is now is that we've got a local rep that's talking to Paul.
I think we've had an email today. I've no chance to look at it because I think there's Mental Health Week. I don't know if it starts on the 18th, but it's around Love to. So the timing is actually just a coincidence. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
are they coming? Do you know?
I think that was in the email. I only skimmed read it, but I can't remember the details.
They may well be present at Love
week.
to Reef again.
Yeah, because they was at Reefing audience, but we need to get them a proper stand this time, don't we? I think on that. I think the other reason why I wouldn't go bigger is time.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to put anything else on.
And it's stressful, isn't it? I mean, no matter what.
So much to do, and work, and then I've obviously got stuff at home. House extension, all that.
Well, we might as well move on to that.
Yeah,
because I went to Paul's today.
So anyway, there's a few tickets left. We're up 25% up on the same time last year, which is good. But we still got a few tickets to sell. And I always go on and on about it. And I'm chasing loads and loads of people. And I do that deliberately because I want to sell the tickets. It'll sell out. But I'd rather it sell out early because then I can spend more time on the show. Because I spend so much time trying to sell the tickets for time that I'd like to spend more organized. There's things I want to do that I can't do because I ain't got the time to do.
Yeah, so buy a ticket. If you haven't bought one already, get a ticket now, because it's more of a question of like, we've got a lot of work to do. We'd rather that the tickets that are going to be is done, so we'd rather get away. So you haven't bought a ticket yet, you're thinking of coming, or even if you think, do you know what, I'm going to support the event, I'll buy a ticket because it'll end up in the Mind charity pot. Yeah. But maybe put a note, but I won't be attending, then Paul can increase the numbers. Yeah. So
if you want to donate, let me know, because there's a Just Giving page, and I can give you the details, and you can donate straight to that if you want.
Yeah.
Or GoFundMe. I can't remember which one it is, but
we go back onto Tanks.
We do that quickly, and then we haven't got much time, have we? So
no. And there was a little bit there as well. I just wanted to touch on this bit here. Mo's Reef and Martin Abbott.
Mo there around.
Yeah, let's see.
I had a Tunzi 6305 just hanging on in the back corners on my old tank to blow out detritus. for about 6 years. Never touched them and they never stopped.
There you go.
Old is gold. I
That's
love
what
that.
I want.
Old is
If
gold.
you don't touch it, that's going in my
Twinsy
house.
is good.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
then the other one was Martin. Martin, the reason why I got Paul to pull this comment up is because you might not know this, but me and Terry were really, really good friends, still are. But I mean, Terry's 86, 85. If you see me doing the thing with the seahorses, it's because of Terry and when I was a kid, begging my old man to go and see that tank that got me into this. So it was Terry Evans at Wet Pet also. He was, people don't realise about Terry, he invented frozen fish food, for Christ's sake. He came up with a combined heater thermostat with Chris. He also developed the first tube that had a coral reef, a coral growing spectrum, the Triton tube, you might remember. That guy is really the king of our hobby in the UK, and no one knows about him.
Never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Wow. Yeah, Jez will. You know, when you talk to Jez, he'll know. But it's only a few old guys that are going to know.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
You would come here and you could interview him.
I've had Terry. I had Terry come here a month or so ago. He does not go out the house since he lost his wife.
Right.
It's very difficult to get him out the house, and he's quite frail. But that's one of the reasons why you see AAC doing that project from him.
It's amazing, isn't it? The legacy that
legacy.
People leave that you never hear.
Terry, I nearly worked for Terry, and I was working the two most competitive stores in London. One was Home Marine, and the other one was Wet Pets, and it was like Arsenal, Chelsea. Which one do I play for? You know. So
brilliant. Right, you've got a couple more comments. So Paul's going to Reef simpler by using Neptune.
Yeah, true. No, Katie, so I can monitor it when I'm abroad or flying in the helicopter somewhere. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Trust my
I don't know if we're gonna have time to give this justice. Maybe we'll have you back on, Andy.
Cool.
So when we do, Andy will come back on and we can talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, because we're just briefly
only got about
touching
4 minutes.
I saw you the other day. I'm sure you did. He's about to expand again.
Yeah.
The expansion and stuff.
Can we do that on the next one? So we say there is stuff happening and we'll come back and do a bit more.
Some good stuff happening, but some of it will hinge on probably having a chinwag with Paul when it comes up as well. So be intrigued.
We'll do that after the event, because the one after next week will probably be end of April, if not May, won't it?
Yes, we've got Chad on next week.
Away.
Yeah, and then I forgot about that.
Okay.
Thanks, Liam.
That's all right. Looking forward to Love to Reef, nutrition products, absolutely. I mean, those products, the TDO pets, when I was raising the fry, I couldn't get them. You could hardly get them in the UK. I think I had to buy them on eBay if someone imported them, and that was years ago. So they are excellent certainly for small fish, and large as well. Where else are we going? Was this Drippy? When you go to AAC.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
What an amazing charity, absolutely.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it. Yeah, it should be a great day.
Yeah, has Drippy bought a ticket? He hasn't bought a ticket yet, Drippy.
I think he has. I think he has.
Well, if he has, I'll throw it in the bin. He can buy another one. He's loaded.
Yeah, he can buy another one. He needs two to get in.
He needs two
I'll
tickets
tell
to
Jill,
get in.
and then Jill can mug him for Raffle tickets on the day as well.
Yeah.
There you go. Would love to go if time allows, especially for Amazing Hobby.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Noodle Reef. If you want to message me or come in store or go onto the AAC website if you want to buy a ticket, that's probably the easiest way to do that other than messaging me. Absolutely great to see you there. Let's just get a ticket now, unless you'll be gutted if you can't.
Well, there is a problem in there because last year a lot of people did leave it lastminute.com and we'd sold out, and there was about 20 people that we didn't have tickets for.
There was at least half a dozen. I went back and said no. And then from the Friday, I didn't have time to respond, and there was 20 messages that I went after and said, really sorry for not coming back to you, but we were sold out anyway.
What's the capacity this year, Paul?
200. So we're going to keep it the same. Could go a little bit higher, but don't really want to, because I think it's a nice size, a nice number. It's easier for me to manage. So some of it is convenience, to be fair.
Coral Freaks 2019, Andy, was 300 people, and I was up to the limit from fire safety and all of that. So I have to think about health and safety on site and appease the landlord as well. So
and we've got 2 halls, whereas Coral Freaks was 1, wasn't it?
I only had 1 hall, and I had 300 people. It was mental.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm not too sure. I think the insurance will go up to about 250 because obviously I have to pay for the insurance, and 250 seems to be the limit. And the hull has got a capacity on it as well. I think it's changed since Paul Longhurst. I think it's gone down.
Yeah, there's insurance already because I'm a tenant on site. So there is some level of insurance, but we have to buy extra
I take out
insurance.
a policy because it's got a broader, and then I know I've got it. I know the terms and conditions, blah, 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 and I'm not relying on someone else. It's only about 80, 90 quid, which I know I'm taking that away from mine, but it's peace of mind on my part from an insurance perspective. Absolutely. You need to have it by law, and I don't really want to rely on the building, even though it's council insurance. Yorkshire Reefer is a big reason I got into the hobby.
There you go, Steph.
Wow.
There you go. So what we were talking about earlier on, you know, you're appealing to a lot of new people coming into the hobby as well, and I think that's that's what I mean about not the elitist approach so much, about being more general and also showing yourself as a family man like you do. You know, there's a lot of people your age that are getting into reefing. I think they relate to you very, very much so. But thank you very much, Swimmingly Ben, for that comment for Steph.
That's really cool.
Right, we're done.
I think we're done.
We're done, aren't we? What a lovely comment to round us off.
Yeah, I think it's lovely. Absolutely. Oh, look, they've got another one just below him, Chris, as well. There we are. He's giving me the push back in too. So there we go.
It makes a difference. You don't always see that. I know you get comments in your YouTube, but you don't really know, do you, how people are responding to it. So it's nice to get that.
No, it's awesome. I think the hobby's booming. I really do. And I think it's going to continue to grow. I think everyone on this tonight and people we spoke about are all really good for the hobby. And I think that good things are to come, for sure.
Yeah, another one from Mo's Reef there. I mean, Mo's obviously a consummate, excellent aquarist, as I'm sure you know that. But it's nice to see comments from the old guard as well as the new guard, if you know what I mean. Thank you so much, gents. Andy, I'm really looking forward to weREEF. Yeah. And I'm going to try and not get this wrong. Steph tried training me earlier on. There's plenty more seeing the fish.
Isn't it? I couldn't even get that right the other night. I couldn't believe it.
I saw it. Yeah.
On that note,
you should really finish, Andy, next time, or Steph, whatever. I want to see you finish a bit of guitar next time.
We'll bring some guitars next time.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Fantastic. We've had way over 80, sometimes 90 people joining. Chat has been absolutely top notch. So thank you very much for everyone who's watched, not chatted, and those one that have watched and chatted. Appreciate everyone, whether you've joined and just watched or you've contributed. It's all valuable. So thank you very much. And we'll see you hopefully next Thursday. And then a lot of you will hopefully see Andy, Paul, Steph Saturday week.
Bye for now. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.